Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mr. G is here and I am back. It is my next evolutionary video of episode 6 where I call out Nvidia for literally scamming laptop gamers and providing no real improvements in laptop GPU performance regarding the mid-low tier segment for years now. I will deep dive further to explain what is the grand reason for it and why Nvidia claims that RTX 5070 is as fast as RTX 4090, which is of course a horseshit and straight up Jensen's lie, so stay tuned. Two words, money and physics. Let's take a dive regarding the first word, money. Like any public company on the planet, the only reason they exist is to make, you guess it, money. Unfortunately, many people in this world confuse the purpose of these companies. They somehow get attached to these companies because they provide the goods they need for their entertainment purposes, and that attachment turns to an unhealthy relationship and they become extreme fans of those companies. And then companies screw them, they still defend them like they are their favorite corner gals. People forget that corporations are not there to please them, but actually opposite. They are there to use consumers for their needs, which is money. And if that all sounds familiar, next time when your wife or ex-girlfriend calls you and asks sweetly for something you promised them, then imagine it is Jensen calling you with that sexy voice of his and politely asking you why you are not buying that shitty RTX 5060 you have been promising him you will buy. Yeah! Just drop the call immediately, as you're about to get scammed. But I digress. Now let's talk about the second word, which is physics. Physics is a cruel mistress, and that cruel mistress name is TSMC. Who the fuck is TSMC, you might ask? Imagine a final boss in your favorite video game, except you cannot beat him, no matter how hard you try, and you need him to die to finish the game, but you can't, and you are stuck now. So TSMC is like that. It is the only company on the planet at the moment who can produce the latest and greatest of your favorite video graphic cards, and basically everybody is at the mercy of TSMC. You name it, Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Intel, everybody is at the mercy of TSMC. They are the only ones who can produce the latest and greatest graphics cards or any other powerful chips you use in everyday life. Everybody needs to go to TSMC, and imagine if you're the only dealer on the street, the only one that can provide the goods people need. What happens then? You are the one who knocks. You do whatever the fuck you want. You ask the prices you want and nobody can say no to you. That's how Nvidia and AMD are to TSMC. TSMC is the final boss that Nvidia and AMD cannot beat, and they have to obey the master and pay TSMC they hefty premiums to manufacture their shitty graphic cards. At the moment, without TSMC, there would be no evolution of the graphics cards. They are the only ones who can manufacture latest graphic cards with billions of transistors, and they are already tapped out and reaching the limits of the technology to shrink transistors further. You probably heard a few times the nanometers curse word mentioned somewhere during the graphic cards presentations, and yes, those nanometers curse word stuff is the most important thing about the current and next generation cards. Without the TSMC shrinking nanometer technologies, graphics card evolution would be pretty much impossible. Just to finalize it, RTX 4000 series and RTX 5000 series cards are manufactured on the same 5nm TSMC shrinking technology, which is the first time ever when the new generation Nvidia cards use the same manufacturing technology as the previous generation. Now you know why RTX 5000 series are the worst series ever, with basically marginal improvements against RTX 4000 series cards. Nvidia and AMD now know that they are constrained by TSMC's technology and cannot always make things faster every generation, so they needed to come up with something to trick consumers to believe that they are getting a really much faster turd than it actually is. And this is where the Black Voodoo Jensen AI magic comes into play. DLSS and FSR upscaling technology and multi-frame generation crap, the curse or the blessing in some people's eyes. For more information, please click on my RTX 3090 review video for further explanations of what DLSS and FSR and multi-frame generation crap is and how they are harming the gaming industry. Also, please check Deep-Love Tech channel and his video in the description for more information about the Nvidia scamming tactics. Coming back to the topic, Nvidia and AMD knew that physically they cannot push forward anymore further, but software-wise they had complete control of what they can do. DLSS for Nvidia was like a savory schnapps for Henry. It brought the saving the game cheat to Nvidia. Now they were in control of how much they can improve performance of the video games artificially and claim unclaimable things like RTX 5070 being as fast as RTX 4090. And then Jensen just needed to open those excrement marketing floodgates to pour the never-ending piles of the marketing shit to the hungry gamers trying to satisfy that never-ending hunger for the more performance and more FPS in the video games, without making the graphic cards actually faster. But like Henry, after having too many savory schnapps, gamers slowly started to realize that the deadly hangover is inevitably coming for them. What we have right now is a disastrous state of the gaming industry, infected with the fake promises of performance boost and lazy game developers riding on the upscaling and multi-frame generation shitwaves, literally leaving the game optimization in the hands of a Jensen voodoo magic. Yeah! We are royally screwed. If RTX 4090 cannot run latest games in 4K without any upscaling and multi-frame generation crap, you know for sure, industry is completely fucked. Not only we get the fake performance and no optimization, on top of that Jensen just dropped the almighty ray tracing nuke, claiming that it is the future of video game graphics and that it would lead the gaming industry to that forbidden valley of photorealism. But what he didn't tell us, poor gamers, is that it would require NASA supercomputers' computational loads to run those ray tracing juicy graphics, and that it would also be the end of era of having too much of a video RAM. Which leads us to the next chapter. Let's talk about how Nvidia is also crippling us gamers with lack of video RAM and a lack of a ray tracing performance on the mid to low end cards. Jensen is a very clever guy. He knew that putting powerful cards to consumer hands mean it would leave them less desire to upgrade to the next generation cards. Less desire to upgrade, less money they will spend, right?
Right? Wrong.
So after giving too much VRAM and performance with a legendary GTX 1080 Ti card, he knew the next step was to introduce the deficiency of the video RAM. For those who are not sure how VRAM is connected to gaming and performance, let me quickly explain it to you. VRAM stands for a Video Random Access Memory, which is a crucial component for the performance of any graphics card. Meaning you can have the fastest graphics card in the world, but if you pair it with a low amount of VRAM, it would be useless, like giving a makeup to your ugly cousin's baby. Graphics card, like a typical computer, needs to process large amount of data in a milliseconds and store that data locally instantly. This is where the Video Random Access Memory, or in short VRAM, comes into play. Computer games are very computationally heavy programs which requires a lot of instant access to the VRAM. Hence, to handle video games smoothly, video card needs to have a large amount of VRAM connected to the card to process that heavy photorealistic visual graphics. And guess what? All the ray tracing things you hear about that requires loads of VRAM. So now Jensen's strategy is give as little VRAM as possible on the low and mid-range cards. So even if they are capable of running games smoothly and are powerful enough to handle them now, they would be obsolete in couple of years time, as newer, more modern games would require more ray tracing prowess and eventually more VRAM. Back to 2016, GTS 1060, a low mid-range card, came with a 6GB of VRAM and cost only $299 US. This was considered an amazing card for its price, with really great amount of VRAM and enough to play any latest games at the time. Back to 2025, 9 years later we get RTX 5060 card with only 8GB of VRAM, just 2GB more than GTS 1060 card, and it costs the same $299 as a launch price. With 8GB of VRAM nowadays, you can forget playing any latest games with a top graphics, and you can forget running any ray tracing tasks, as this card simply cannot run any ray tracing graphics smoothly and has no future proofing at all and can only run older titles. And all this because of a lack of a sufficient amount of VRAM. Yeah, actually none of the RTX 5000 series low to mid-range cards like RTX 5060 Ti and RTX 5070 has sustainable amount of VRAM or can run ray tracing graphics smoothly. Also, there is RTX 5060 Ti 16GB VRAM model, much more expensive than 8GB variant, which has more VRAM of course than RTX 5070 12GB card, a higher tier card with less VRAM than the lower tier card, which makes no fucking sense. Jensen's VRAM strategical plan, obsolescence plan, is designed to push gamers to buy ridiculously expensive high-end cards, which are barely faster than the last generation ones. It says something about Nvidia. They don't give a shit, which leads us to the last topic of this video, the exploration of why Nvidia don't give a shit about us gamers and why they can get away with it. You guessed it, it's AI. For those who don't know, Nvidia is the first or second most valuable public company on the planet, fighting for the first position with another amazing in quotes company which is called Apple. That's right, Nvidia is a king of the hill. Jensen earns per second as much as you earn per 1 year. And he clearly doesn't give a shit about your problems of not having a decently affordable graphics card with enough VRAM. Why? Because all the money he makes comes from the AI revolution. Meaning all the profits the Nvidia makes are coming not from the gaming revenues but from the data centers, the ones who run AI training centers and responsible for building ChatGPT, Gemini, Siri and other AI crap. Unfortunately, that means that Nvidia is only focusing on delivering graphics cards designed to enable the Skynet birth. Not only Jensen is spitting in our faces and laughing at us, poor gamers, for not getting a good graphics card, but it also he is directly responsible for creating the most dangerous sentient being on the planet, which might wipe us all out one day. If that's not a wake-up call, I'm not sure what it is. Right, yeah. It does not look like there is a hope for tomorrow. AMD is just copying Nvidia's approach, and it is as big threat to Nvidia as a termite to the Dr. Manhattan, at the moment not providing anything substantially better and still offering 8GB VRAM cards in mid-level, which is as bad as it can get. But maybe there is some hope. Intel is the third player in the GPU market right now and producing solid graphic cards with a decent amount of VRAM and price. Yeah, right. Final words from the Mr. G are, don't be a sim, don't buy overpriced and crappy Nvidia cards, do not buy 8GB VRAM cards in 2025, no matter who makes them. And for the love of gaming, do not buy graphic cards based on the fake Nvidia DLSS or Frame Generation marketing shenanigans. Always buy graphic cards for their real raw performance after checking reputable third-party reviews, like Mr. G Production Channel. End of the video. In the next video, I will review the run of the later the 30 RTX 5060 graphics card so you don't have to. If you're willing to see the next episode and like this video, please click thumbs up and subscribe. If not, Jensen will hunt you down. Just kidding, all good. Hope you enjoyed the video. Mr. G signs out.